Okay, guys, I'm gonna try to make this as not confusing as possible. And so this might be a part one. Also, if you hear any howling, it's just the dogs begging for attention outside. So I recently posted the most recent releases of some of the creators who produce doll skits and stories and post videos. Y'all are doing an excellent job, so I just want to get the word out there that those people are doing that, because sometimes it's like, wow, this is happening and I don't even know about this person to even watch their stuff. So that's kind of why I do that, so everyone kind of has a better chance of knowing about the person and the story so they can follow it in the first place. But someone was on there, and I think it's Miss Nancy. I'm gonna try to insert her username so you can go check out her channel. She is thinking maybe it's not something that she can do, but I'm here to tell you and kind of show you that I think it's doable for everyone. If you have a story that you want to tell, I encourage you all to try to tell stories through dolls. So the first thing you want to do is either choose a story or write your own story. And if you don't feel like you can write a story, it's okay, because there's a lot of stories in the public domain that you can use and just act out with your dolls, such as fairy tales. A lot of fairy tales are in the public domain. Now, you do want to be careful. You want to have your work based off the original fairy tale and not the Disney version of the fairy tale, because the Disney version of the fairy tale is not in the public domain. For instance, if you want to do Beauty and the Beast and you involve Gaston as a character, well, Gaston is very specific to Disney. That is Disney's original character. Also, you cannot name your mermaid Ariel. They named the mermaid Ariel. I'm not even sure if Hans Christian Andersen had a name for his Little Mermaid. I think her name was just Little Mermaid. So yes, just be careful that you're using the original version of the story. So for the example, we're going to use Goldilocks and the Three Bears. Why are we using that as the example? Because everyone kind of knows this story, and so it's going to be really easy to explain how to do this story. So we're going to break it down into 3 parts for simplification, okay? So this is basically the gist of the written story, right? Number 1, one day, little Goldilocks was wandering through the woods and came upon a cottage. Number 2, she went in and fell asleep. It says Phil. Fell asleep on the comfiest bed. Number 3, the bear returned home and frightened her awake, and she ran away, right? Okay, that's basically the gist. There's other stuff in there, but those 3 plot points are the bones of the story, right? We're gonna circle back to this, okay? It's the bones of the story. So, number 2, you need to choose if you want to do pictures or film format, right? So if you do pictures, you're basically setting up your dolls for a photo shoot. So you set up your dolls. For instance, if you're going to do Goldilocks and the Three Bears, you're going to set up one of your dolls walking through the woods. This may involve a set. You may have to do trees or whatever, however you want to make your world in your diorama. But you're going to take a picture of a doll walking through the woods. And then you're going to take a picture of the doll sleeping in the bed. And then you're going to take a picture of the bear coming in. So on film, it's just the stuff is moving, right? So it's the same thing. She's going to be moving through the woods or walking through the woods. But instead of you taking a picture, you're going to take your doll and she's going to be, oh my gosh, I'm walking through the woods. Like that. The doll's actually going to be moving. This is harder to do. The key to making this look good is to have your camera always in the same spot. Do not move your camera around. I know in my productions, my camera moves around because I be like, oh, that's good enough. Because accidents happen. Sometimes you bump your camera. Sometimes you have to answer a phone call. Or sometimes it falls over. But I'm teaching you the right way to do it. I'm not teaching you how, like, what's passing for myself. So then you'll take a film of the doll sleeping, and then maybe you'll do a close-up, right? And then you'll have the bear chasing Goldilocks. So number 3, you want to choose your narration or acting. So you may think it's obvious, like pictures, I'll just do narration, or film, I'll just do acting. But actually, you can do narration or acting for both of these, right? And so what basically is narration? Narration is basically what is written up here, but spoken aloud, like story time at the library, right? Or an audiobook with pictures. One day, little Goldilocks, she went in and fell asleep. The bear returned home, right? Acting it out is like what we do. Goldie, la 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 la, the woods are so much fun. Oh look, a cute cottage. I wonder if anyone is home. Oh, this bed is so comfy. I think I'll just rest for a little while. Sometime later, right? Bear, it's so good to be home. Hey, what's this? Hey, why are you in my bed? So you'll essentially have a script, and you need to say who's talking, and you need to have like stage directions as well. So what I highlight in blue, like goes inside, goes to sleep, roars, and chases Goldilocks, right? This is when you're writing your script, you need these little tidbits of stage direction. So when you go to film your movie or your show or whatever, you know what the doll is supposed to be doing in that scene. So again, this would be like narrating. Goldilocks walks through the woods. So you see, I told you what's happening, like I'm reading a story, but I have the doll moving around. And so now this is going to be like acting. La 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 la. The woods are so much fun. So you see the same thing, but you can choose if you want to narrate or act it out. Okay, number 4 through 7 are in green because these are optional steps. So basically, the core of making doll skits are 1, 2, and 3, what we just went over. The optional steps are 4, 5, 6, and 7. So remember we talked about the core being the bones of the story. Now, bones does not make a complete person, right? In order to have a complete person, you want to add some flesh. So to flesh out your story, just describing, to add additional shots, plot points, and details for a fuller, more complete story, right? So as you can see, we have like 1, 2, and 3. However, if you want to go in and round out your story, you might add some, like a scene here or a scene there, right? As you may remember, she also ate the porridge, and you can put that there. And she also sat in the rocking chairs, which you can also add in. Also, there's actually 3 bears, not just 1. So whatever your skill level is, you could simplify your story by keeping it 1, 2, 3. Or you can make your story more complex just by adding in more shots and details. So number 5 is a shot list. This is actually very important. And this is what filmographers use. And what a shot list is basically a written list of needed shots, but need. And it helps to streamline the process and stay organized, especially if shooting on location. This is so important. Basically, you'll have this. So if this is your story, your shot list is going to be Goldilocks walking through the woods. And then your next shot is going to be Goldilocks sleeping in a bed. And then your next shot is going to be Goldilocks running around the room, right? And so if you make your story more complex by adding maybe a scene here, a scene there, you need to add those as shots that you need to get, right? And so why is this especially important if you're shooting on location? Because as in my Siren Song movie, little short film, I went to a lake to film this, right? And so if you need to go and get in a particular setting that you can't do at your house, it's not like you can just be running back and forth to the location. And so to ensure that you get all the shots that you need, you have your shot list right by you and you get all your shots that you need at that location. And then you can move on to the other location or move on to your regular setting. The shot list is actually very important. So number 6 is use transitions to add style, polish, or to show movement between pictures. Basically, there's transitions you can do in between. When you do video editing, you can do transitions, right? And so they can fade your picture out from one scene to the next, or they can do like maybe a star going from this scene to the next scene. It makes it like more interesting. But if it's like a harsh cut, if you do like a fade out, it will soften that transition. Now you can actually show movement doing this as well. It's like stop motion basically. Keep the camera in the same spot. The camera cannot move or it won't work. So here's 3 shots and you can put them together like this with no transition. This is what it looks like, and you can leave it like that. It will work. But when you add the transition like this, it shows like movement motion, and you can use this to show a doll standing up or even sitting down. Number 7 is add copyright-free music to polish the video and add atmosphere, right? So when you're on YouTube, YouTube has YouTube Studio and they provide the music. Now, I'm definitely not going to go over that in this video because it would be too long. Sorry. But it's important that you use the copyright-free music just so you don't get a copyright strike on your channel. Now, notice music is one of those optional things. You don't need it, but it can add ambiance to your story. So if your story is kind of like creepy, you can add creepy music. If it's a happy story, you can add cheerful music, right? And it just kind of sets the tone, right? So like, for instance, if you're doing a period drama, you don't hear rap music, right? And if you're on something like Step Up, which is a dance competition type of movie, you don't really hear a lot of classical music because you can't dance to that. And so this is what I mean when I say it's adding atmosphere. And there are sound effects that you can use as well. And just, yeah.